topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you ready to take a journey? Let's connect with the healers of the world. It's that time. It's time for the Language of Healing on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Now here's your host, Emotional Wisdom Training Specialist Nicole Fortin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Language of Healing. It is Friday, January 7th, and we're into a new year, 2022. And this radio show is brought to you by W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. You can watch us live with your eyes and listen to us live with your ears and watch the playbacks on Facebook, YouTube, and we're on iHeart, Spotify, Pandora. You can download those episodes, like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and get a lot out of these conversations that we're having. Today's around the Chinese New Year, the New Year of the Water Tiger, and this is fun conversations for me this time of year because I get to blend in the magic of manifesting and intention and intuition with Chinese medicine concepts of the 5 elements, and observing how our external environments and our internal environments are interacting with each other, and really all of that information together combined, where we've been, where we are now, sets us up to where we are going in the future. And so it's always good food for thought. And I just had a great conversation with Kate Michaels, who is the host of the Emotional Wisdom Training podcast and radio show, which is also hosted on the W4CY radio network. And you can tune into W4CY.com. I think is that the website, Roxy? That you can find all sorts of shows, and yes, W4CYradio.com, W4CY.com, and tune into a whole variety of shows and support others who are sharing messages and have a vision of bringing useful and inspiring information to the public. And this is the time of year where we really look back at and reflect on how the last year has gone. I know that the hustle and bustle of the holidays is coming to a close now. The first week in January, we're feeling we've made it over the hump of the darkest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, and looking towards the sunlight and the return of warm weather, and setting up. It's like, what are we? It's almost like this time of year is more to prepare for getting our ideas and our inspiration and creating what we want to see for ourselves. So when the spring comes, we know what we're planting. If you had a garden, the winter time is a very still, a still time, right? Things freeze over, they get cool, cold, and it's not a time that we're like really planting or harvesting or having a lot of growth, but it's a lot of rest and deep reflection and an ability to, or an opportunity to look and create. More of it is what it is that we want our garden to look like. So what flowers might I want? Do I want some vegetables in there? Designing what your garden is going to be like, and then enjoying the growth and the watching your labors come to fruition. You're seeing them grow taller and more and growing deeper. Maybe things grow differently. Some things grow really tall, some things grow really deep and are well rooted. Some things really expand, like the mushroom network. The fungi are just like an entire network spread really wide, far and wide. And so, there's many ways that you can grow, and it's about growing and connecting in with what is unique to you, what is your signature around, it's like your own rhythm, your own music, your own song, that your own, like, frequency. It's very resonant with you, and it comes from your core, and it's deeply connected to your being and your purpose, and it's what makes you unique and special. And tapping more into that can really make life easier. So we naturally bring a lightness and a brightness to our life, and that helps it flow a little easier, despite challenges. So we've talked a lot about lately about intention and what is an intention, what it means, and how you can develop a clear intention and follow through with it so it really sticks. Because, this time, well, okay, maybe the first week of January, people are still on there. If you made resolutions, you're still going with it. At mid-January, many of those resolutions fail because they were either unachievable or unrealistic, or just not really connected with the true core of it. Like, I want to, stop drinking coffee. And so, it's like, as an example, right? So then you just like cut it out cold turkey. But there's still more of a reason behind that, right? Like, the intention of, is it to be naturally energized? I want natural energy, that natural spark that I feel refreshed and awake and alive. So is it too hard to just cut out coffee? Like, maybe one day you want to enjoy that, right? But recognizing that there's possibly other avenues for you to achieve that wakefulness, alertness state. Like, I am, naturally energized. And so, we've been playing around with setting intentions and recognizing that there are, well, the 5 steps to success. This comes from Kate Michael's work, who, again, is the host of the Emotional Wisdom Training podcast and the founder of Emotional Wisdom Training Institute, which is a great body of work, one that I often use for myself and for clients and friends. And, it having those principles that help you respond wisely to your emotions versus react emotionally, really supports you in getting clear on what it is that you want. So that's the first step, is knowing what you want. And the second step is asking for what you want, knowing how to ask that. That comes in with the, being assertive, an assertive communicator. And third step is showing up. Fourth step, keeping your word. And fifth step is having a natural attitude of gratitude along the way, which follows you through all the steps, gratitude all along the way, because you might not necessarily get what you want right away, but you can still keep that intention clear, or that desire close in mind and in heart and in body. And, miracles happen every day. That's Kay Michael's tagline, and it's true. When you have a powerful intention, we just did a conversation together for her podcast, and we both found our intention. And what I noticed about that is how powerful that phrase can be, or that statement can be, when it's um, and it's truly connected with your mission, your message, your vision, all three of those things are lining up, and then it's like a super punch. So you're more likely to achieve it when your body, mind, and heart are all in alignment, all congruent. There's like a cohesive relationship between the three, and they're not all fighting for your attention. Because, like, let's take it back to that coffee example. Your body is going to have some responses. It might really be addicted to that caffeine feeling, right? Or that what that chemical response does to your body. You might be missing that. So so then it might override the mind and the heart, right? It's like, oh, I really want that natural energy, but this will give it to me like right now. And so just recognizing how sometimes they do fight with each other because they each think that they're the most important, and they are all important. They all have a voice and a special characteristic about them. It's and if we look at it from that psychology perspective, it's the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious realms. And we're in our conscious realm, we're only really perceiving so much information, so there's naturally always more going on than we recognize. And so even just being aware of that opens up a lot more possibilities, because maybe it's not just um, the way that we think it is, right? Like, there's other possibilities, other perspectives and avenues. And it's like that, it's being curious with life. And this really ties into every year has its own little characteristics, right? So we've been through uh, the last few years, maybe every year, if you look back at it and think and reflect, like maybe every year had a certain theme or flavor to it, and every year we're just adding on to that. And same with intentions. It's not like a brand new thing where you forget everything from your past to create something new. You're using the information of your history, of where you've been and the experiences you've had, and taking a look at what kind of wisdoms you can carry through with you into the future from that. So intentions are really just building on each other, every year. And this year's so despite having been through the holiday, like Christmas time, we had, the darkest day of the year, the new year, it seems like things are winding down. And in the East, though, things are kind of winding up to the holidays. So the celebrations are still continuing, and this theme around renewal and, uh, you know, I don't know, the newness, the inspiration of newness is still very much available to us. And it's a good time to ride that wave, to set intentions for yourself, or take a moment to really reflect on, who you are, what you're doing, what you want, how are you being in relationship to yourself and with others, how are you being in work and in life. And yeah, so this year we're moving from, so looking back at where we've been the last, well, let's take it back to 2020, because this year, so for those of you that might not be familiar with the Chinese zodiac or Chinese astrology, or even Chinese medicine for that matter, they're closely related. They come from. I'm not like expert in Chinese astrology by any stretch. It's very but I understand it because I understand the same principles and concepts that come from Chinese medicine. So I focus a lot more on the body, which is the physical things that happen, and then the emotional and mental aspects, and I mean also looking at the heart, right? Like the desires, and because we can have the body and the mind, but if we're desireless or our purpose isn't really fulfilled, there's still that piece missing. It's like that third piece. So we are much more than just body and mind. We're body, mind, and heart. And so let's see how we can play with the energy that's coming up. And yeah, so where we've been. So yes, if you're not familiar, the Chinese zodiac has 12 animals that cycle every year. So in Western astrology, there's 12 zodiacs as well, and they change every month. So if you're born in a month, you are a certain, sign or aspect of the year. And in the Chinese astrology, it goes by every year. So if you're born in a certain year, uh, everyone in that year is has the same energy, I guess, of that animal that's governing that year. And good to know that the new year is based on the lunar cycle. Um, the second new moon, I think, after solstice is the beginning of the lunar new year. And so that falls on February 1st this year, 2022. We're entering the year of the water tiger. So we're coming from the year of the metal ox. And before that, we're coming from the year of the metal rat. And of the 12 animals, the rat is the beginning of the cycle. And so we started a whole new 12-year cycle in 2020. And so I don't know if you noticed a shift in energy in 2020, or if you noticed things were a little bit different. Um, I mean, it's like a January. That whole year was like like a January, where like fresh starts and new beginnings, and but yeah, still always coming from the past, and it's like a constant evolution, right? So the rat is the first of the animals, and that um was metal. So that's the metal element is very much connected to emotional maturity and emotional wisdom. So emotional wisdom training was super key. And those emotional wisdom training specialists and clients tended to go through the pandemic um, easier because they were able to respond wisely to their emotions versus reacting emotionally. And there's many tools and practices that come into play then. And real life is the perfect time, when there's so much reading and self-help, and there's so much material out there, and so many resources and workshops and classes. You just have to do a quick scroll of the Instagram feed to see all of the advertisements of people um, offering little master classes and things like that. So there's tons of information out there, and yeah, where was I going with that? There's so much to it, and forgive me, sometimes I'm so entrenched in this work that I forget to just break it down into the basics. And so I'm doing my best. I think about just, keeping it really basic and simple, but really fundamentally, the five elements and Chinese medicine and the zodiac, and they're all very basic because it's naturally what we observe in life happening already. And so this just adds a bit more of information because I mean, from Chinese medicine, we've got like 5,000 years of recorded history of observing these things. And we've had star maps for like forever, pretty much since the time that we've been around. This is how people navigated the globe. And, you know, observed and recognized and developed these, the years, and they recognize these cycles happen every year. So we have the seasons, and every day is a cycle. The sun up, sun down, moon up, moon down. So anyway, at a basic level, this is it's really inherent. So let's just have some fun with it. When you think about metal as an element, so that's like the emotional maturity that I was speaking about. And maybe you recognized or noticed that emotions were running high the last 2 years because we were under that that influence of that element, metal. And metal can be very malleable. It can be hard, but it can also be melted down to create new forms and shapes. And it can be sharp, it can be blunt. I mean, an axe can chop wood, it can be a resourceful tool to build things. It can also cause harm. And so that's like the response versus reaction. How do you want to use that tool or use that resource? And so we saw the emotions, all the belief structures, um, these habits and things really amplified and coming to head because we're just in a new cycle. It's almost like um, how extremes can cause growth. It's like that expansion and the contraction, and it's through that it acts like a pump, to go through extremes. So we've been through, a time of 2020 when actually there was quite a bit of contraction. The whole world shut down. We stayed home. We were very isolated with ourselves. So we were dealing with confronted, I should say, with ourselves and how we react or respond to our emotions, because it came up for everybody. It's not just you, it's not just me, it's the whole world going through this. And just witnessing the different outcomes that or like reactions that we see from people or responses, right? Just differences in how we cope in our ability to be in the unknown, because that was a very, very much of a time of unknown. We're waiting for instructions, we're waiting for what's next, we're waiting for more information about what's happening. So yeah, 2020 was, the rat is also a bit of the trickster and very, very clever, and also a bit of the trickster energy as well. So we saw that. And then we're in 2021, we come to the year of the metal ox. And so still that metal theme of the emotional maturity, sensitivity, working with honesty and sensitivity. It's like a receptivity that so we're picking up information maybe on a level that we're not aware of. It's kind of like that unconscious realm, right? So there's a lot of feelings. Metal is a very like feeling time. And so those feelings of like honesty or like courage and pride, or maybe the feelings of grief and sadness and depression. And I talked about the metal element being connected. And I talked about this at the beginning of last year. I did a whole episode on the metal ox. So in there, I talked about its connection to our lungs and our large intestine. And so it's our ability to breathe in and eliminate out. So what are you bringing in and what are you letting go of to reach that? And I compared it to climbing a mountain. So reaching the peak of the mountain, you need to travel light. You need to let go of what's not going to serve you. It doesn't have as much of a purpose on this journey. And you need to have good, strong lungs. Or, I mean, just naturally, your lungs are going to be exercised and utilized, and they're going to be working for you. So you want them functioning optimally. And so yeah, that's a bit of a flavor of where we're coming from with the past 2 years being under that metal element. And so we're looking at emotional maturity, sensitivity, breathing in and letting go. And that was a practice of that. So here, once again, we switch into a new element. So this will be for the next 2 years under the water influence. And in this cycle, we will see two animals. Will first comes the tiger animal, and then it will be the rabbit animal. And yeah, so water tiger, water rabbit are coming up. But first, let's look at the water tiger, because this is now a bit of it's carrying on with that courage and that pride aspect, but it comes with stillness and listening. And when you think of a tiger, it's an animal that hunts. It's an animal that can be still and can look back, like observe the scenery, like survey the land, right? Of what am I going after next? What is next for me? And so it has those moments of stillness and listening and the courage that it takes to, move on the action, and very instinctual, right? Like many animals. I mean, that's our animalistic brain that we also have connection to. So, whether you believe in like the animals or the zodiacs or not, you can still take certain qualities and aspects of it and mm, use that as inspiration. So actually, I wanted to do a little bit of a visualization, because as we enter the water element, the water is a very visionary element. So we're coming from like that feeling sensitive space into now that we have the maturity and the sensitivity, and we've um, can honor that, and there's a certain level of reverence, we can then be inspired to create more, right? And then after the visionary stuff, that's when like the thinking comes. But you first have to envision it, and then you can make the steps towards it. So in 2024, when we move into the next element of the wood, we'll see a lot more of that action step. So this is really now the time to dream up, connect with your desires, and set the plan or set the intention for it, and create that environment that's really going to support and nurture that. And so a little bit of planning or forethought can go a long way for you when you're really wanting to make what you've been dreaming about come to fruition. So it's a great time for manifesting and creating miracles and magic and having fun with that. So just take a moment wherever you are to settle into your seat. Wiggle your hips a little bit, let your sit bones rest firmly, full contact on the ground or your chair, and feeling your feet just planting to the ground below you. Imagine you have roots in the bottom of your feet that are just sinking deep and really anchoring your feet. It's like a heavy sensation, a natural pull to go deeper. And then inhaling, lifting the spine and opening up the space between your pelvis and your head. nice tall antenna, which is your spine. So we want that antenna to be straight and tune into that frequency. So we can receive the messages that are needed for us, the messages that are coming to us. We can intercept communications and use that information to recognize what's around us, what our environment is like, and assessing that, just like the tiger, we're surveying the land, and we're checking in and connecting in with what we need now, what we need next. What is it that we're after? What is instinctually going to support me and get me to keep moving on, moving forward, instead of being stuck and helpless or hopeless and stuck in that anxiety and that low level depression that often comes when we're not fulfilling our dreams and our desires, and we're distracted and our attention goes towards the external world, towards things that don't necessarily nourish and support us as much as we like. I mean, I know that things happen, right? Things come up that we have to pay attention to. Like I'm thinking of, caring for elderly parents, and what, how much attention that can bring into your life. And maybe you want to be focusing on some other activities, but there's still that there's a purpose there. So yeah, how can you find that connection with yourself in and amongst life's experiences and what's really happening in your life? So it's just making the most of what you have available to you and where you're at, and just keep moving through that, right? So, and you get there through paying attention to the present. So instead of looking back and looking forward, being present now. And so just breathing in, feeling rooted, feeling tall and receptive. And I want you to envision that you are stepping in. There's a big elevator in front of us. And this elevator is gray and it's shiny. It's a very large elevator. Probably fit 20 people in there. It's got this nice red carpet laid out for you. And the doors open. And you walk along the red carpet into this elevator. And you look around and you see the mirrors, you see yourself, you see all the buttons that are there. And you see the doors, and the doors are closing. And we're going to press the button. 2022. We're going to look at the whole year. So maybe going into January or December 2022, just going to the end of this year, the end of this cycle. And you press the button and we're transported into this space. And you open the doors. And this level here is a green and lush forest, like a jungle. But there's this clearing that you've landed in, and you can see the trees in the background, and there's a stream that's coming from a waterfall in the distance. And the stream is heading your way, and you can step out of the elevator and you walk towards the river. And you notice the rushing sound of the water and the coolness of the spray, the splashing water coming off of you, off the river, and onto you. And the air is very warm, very comfortable. You're dressed comfortably. And the sunshine is touching your skin, and the glow is just perfect. And you're just breathing in this fresh air, listening to the birds, listening to the water, hearing the leaves rustle and the trees speaking as they crack and creak, as they move with the wind, swaying with the wind, nice and flexible, not resisting any direction. They're just there, happy little trees. And in the distance, through the trees, you notice a tiger. This tiger is very relaxed and majestic. You notice this tiger just slowly and very relaxed, walking towards you. He's walking towards you, and you notice this tiger, and the tiger notices you, and you walk towards it, and you meet this tiger on the edge of the river. And just noticing what came up for you as that tiger approached you. What was going on for you? And this tiger has a message for you. And so just closing your eyes and really, playing with the imagination of this river, feeling it and hearing it, and this tiger, and recognizing that you were here for a temporary but meaningful encounter. And so this tiger brings you a message. And what is that message? And just noticing how you receive that message. Do you receive it through hearing it, seeing it, feeling it, knowing it? And so receive that message from the tiger. And you have a message for the tiger as well. And so what do you say to this tiger? What do you notice about it? What might help this tiger on its journey, on its path? And so you've exchanged messages. And before you depart, there's a gift. There's a gift that's appeared on the ground. You see this, you notice it. It has a little sparkle to it, and this is your gift as a celebration of the last year of this water tiger year. And so this gift is especially for you. So you can pick it up, you can open up the gift. Just noticing what the wrapping is like, how is it wrapped? Is there a note on it? Is there ribbon, wrapping paper? Is it very simple? Is it even wrapped? And just open your gift. See what this gift is for you. And thanking the tiger, thanking the river, thanking the lush green forest around you for the time and the energy and the wisdom and the vision. Thank you for all the messages that you received. Thank you for leading me here and helping me follow through with, even if I'm scared, afraid, if I don't feel the most courageous, even if I feel like I'm just beginning and I don't really know where to start or what to do next. I'm, being thankful for always having the steps there for you. and the people there to support you, and having a vast network available to you to really make your dreams come true. Because there might be obstacles and challenges that do show up along the way. It's just part of the adventure. So stepping back from that, thinking all of it, and just coming back into today and the reality of where we're at and where you are, and that we are continuously moving forward and evolving and growing. And that is a choice, of course. It's a much easier way to live and be in the world when we are choosing to evolve and grow and surround ourselves with the environment that helps us thrive. And so, we're not necessarily planting that garden in the winter, right? It's like we're using the energies of the seasons and the appropriate timing for things. And this year is really a good time to envision. So use that vision skill, that water skill. This is a very self-reflective time when we think of Narcissus is that legend of the man that stares at himself in the water, and it's like he's looking at his reflection, um, and there's benefit to that, looking at yourself in the mirror, um, in an attempt with the intention of bettering yourself and filling yourself up with what really juices you, so then you can share and pass that light and that wisdom and that excitement on to others to help support them as well. And so it takes take that the courage and the pride of the lion, or sorry, the tiger. I guess they're a little similar, um, with that quality of like that strength and the prowess that happens, that ability to be still and to survey your surroundings and create and envision what you really want, because the action steps will come, they will show up. Having the vision is a great anchor point. So if at any time throughout the year you need that fresh inspiration, or to remember what your intention is and what was really important to you as you started the year, come back to that water element, sit by the river, bring in the spirit of the tiger, and see what messages it has there for you. Because the water element is very much about ancestral wisdom, and it's where you've come from, your family lineage, your tribe. So surrounding yourself with the tribe that supports you, and learning, there's like that delicateness of tradition and modernness, and playing with that. So it's really about dreaming as well as honoring and recognizing where we've been, and how far we've come, and the people that have supported us in coming this far. When you think of your ancestors and what they might have gone through in their lifetime, and still yet we evolve and we continue to grow, and our communities thrive, and our countries and the world and the planet still carries on, and there's different themes every year. Every generation has its themes. So, what is your part? Like, just dream about how you can add to that. Add your light and your brightness and your vision and your mission messages that support you and support others. So there is so much more to that. We will continue on this conversation, I'm sure, down the way. The Chinese New Year is not technically in for another few weeks, but as we come up to this energy, because it's also the spring festival, so it's time when we're celebrating the return of light and spring, and we get to plant our seeds that we've put some thought into planning what it is that we really want to have to see grow. And so this is the time for it. So yeah, remembering that, from an emotionally mature place, we can be inspired to create and grow and have that well, or that reservoir of the water, really supporting us in giving us energy, power, and instinct, and reflection and abundance, and really taking that time to be still in that, just like just soak in it for a little while to really see what benefits that it has for you. So instead of just splashing around or just one foot in, I want you to like just dive in there. Just dive in, get wet, have a swim, and you can play your imagination. Is the water warm? Is it cool? Is it like a hot tub? Is it a river? Just have fun with it. So you can find me, ask me any questions, or let me know how that meditation went for you, what you noticed, what you really want for this year, what is your intention, what does the tiger mean to you, and the water elements, and keep the conversation going on the my YouTube and Facebook channels and pages. You can comment and like and share and subscribe there to stay tuned for upcoming episodes on the language of healing. We are live on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And hope you have a great week. We'll leave you with the question of, what will you take with you from this conversation that will support you for the rest of your life?
Wow, what a show today, and the journey does not stop here. Come travel the world with Nicole every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time as together we become more fluent in the language of healing on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. See you next week.